Okay, hopefully you have watched the first part of this video, which was rates part 1, 2A and 2B. This is the second part of the video, which is going to finish up the chapter 2C and 2D. Alright, so the first bit was 2C, which is about problem solving using rates, and this one is all about direct proportion. Okay, so this one means that as one part of the rate increases, the other part increases as well in a proportional manner. Or as one part of the rate decreases, the second part of the rate also decreases in a proportional manner. Some classic examples of this in the real world would look like maybe you get paid $15 per hour. The more hours you work, the more money you will earn, and that amount of money you earn increases directly proportional to the amount of time you spend working at a rate of $15 per hour. So that's the first bit here, the direct proportion increase and decrease. Another one might be sometimes things decrease at the same time. As one bit decreases, the other bit decreases. Okay, so we're going to look at some examples here. So it says in each of the following, calculate the value of x. Okay, so 80 kilometers is traveled in 1 hour, and we want to know, well, what's the equivalent of that if we travel for 4 hours? So we have got 80 kilometers per hour, and this time we're actually not doing 1 hour anymore, we're doing 4 hours now. So you can see this is very similar to what we have done in the past, except we're not simplifying now, we're actually multiplying both sides of the rate, and there is a 1 at the moment in front of the first rate, and we need to multiply it. We need to change that second number from 1 to 4, and we do that direct proportion. So we times this one by 4, and if I do it to one side, then I do it to the other side. So therefore we would get that x equals 80 times 4 is 320, so it would be 320 kilometers for 4 hours. Okay, the 30 hours in 21 days, so let's write that, 30 hours for 21 days, and we want to know what is that equivalent to if we do 10 hours per x days. Okay, just a reminder that we're just using x to represent an unknown, and that's called a variable. So here we go, we know that the left-hand side has changed from 30 to 10. Now you might think, oh, you just subtract 20. I could subtract 20 from both sides, but that would not be consistent with this idea of direct proportion and stepping up one and then stepping the other up in the same amount, or decreasing one and decreasing the other by the same amount. So please don't be tricked to try and add or subtract. Instead, you need to multiply or divide. And in this case, we just need to divide both sides by 3. And that means that our right-hand side is going to be 21 divided by 3, which is 7 days, so 10 hours in 7 days. All right, and one more. It costs $56 for 4 liters. Okay, we don't know what we're talking about there, what type of liquid we're talking about, but it could be 4 liters of petrol, it could be, well, not at the moment, we're pretty lucky with how cheap petrol is, but it could be 4 liters of orange juice if you were drinking really expensive orange juice, who knows. Anyway, 4 liters of some type of liquid, and we want to change that to x dollars for 1 liter. Okay, and eventually we're going to say that it's going to equal y dollars for 11 liters. Alright, so the first one, we notice that we know the information about the right-hand side of the rate. So that's the side we need to focus on. It goes from 4 to 1, so we have divided that by 4. Divide the right-hand side, we need to divide the left-hand side. Okay, and when we do 56 divided by 4, we get 14, I believe. So that should be $14 per 1 liter. All right. Now we're going to use that information of the simplified rate to do the second part of the this problem solving. Okay, so the easiest way to now go to this y dollars per 11 liters is to use our information of $14 per 1 liter because if we started with the information that we were given with, which was this 56 per 4 litres, and we tried to jump to 11 litres, it would just be a more complicated division and multiplication that we would need to do. Alright, so we now know $14 per 1 litre. Again, we're trying to change the right hand side because that's our two knowns. So 1 litre to 11 litres is just going to be times by 11, which means we need to times the other side by 11, and we get 14 times 11, which I believe is 154, but I will just double check. Yep, is $154 per 11 litres. Alright, so what are we doing? We look for the two bits of the rate, two sides of the rate that we know. All right, so it might be the left-hand side, it might be the right-hand side, and we change, we look at how did we change it, what did we multiply by or what did we divide by, and whatever we do to the left or the right, we need to do to the other bit of the rate. All right, last section for rates was 2D, and this is about comparison using rates. And this is probably one of the most real-world reasons that we ever use rates, and that's about best buys. So we want to find out what basically the best option is going to be in the real world. Is it cheaper to buy that brand of flour or this brand of flour? Is it cheaper to have this internet plan or that internet plan? Is it cheaper to buy petrol here or to buy petrol there? Those sorts of options to help us save money and optimize our expenses. So to do the best buy option, we have to convert each price option to equal amounts, so to comparable amounts. What that means is, like for example, here we go in their example, they have got oil and they're comparing, one shows you the cost per 6 litres of oil and one shows you the cost per 8 litres of oil. That's not very easy for us to tell which one is cheaper. Because it says, well, one is cheaper for 6 litres, but it should be cheaper for 6 litres than for 8 litres. We can't compare them yet. So we change them both to a unit that we can compare. They've changed them both to per 2 litres. You could change them both to per 1 litre, or a different amount that you want to compare them to. All right, so let's have a look. We're doing part C here. 1.5 kilos of oranges cost $4.80. Sorry, I'm just going to go ahead and put my units in there. Cost $4.80. And the other option is 2.5 kilos of oranges cost $8.25. All right, so we would actually probably write those the other way. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. We would probably write it as $4.80 per $1.50. Per 1.5 kilos, $8.25 per $2. I'm getting my units all mixed up. So $4.80 per 1.5 kilos and $8.25 per 2.5 kilos. So I'm going to just simplify them, which means I'm going to divide this one by 1.5 on both sides, and I'm going to divide this one by 2.5 on both sides. And what that is going to give me is two rates, and it's going to be a dollar amount per 1 kilo of oranges. So the first one is going to be $3.20 per 1 kilo, and the other one is going to be $3.30 per kilo. Okay, so that one shows me that option A is the cheaper option, the better buy for oranges. Okay, that is just looking at price. If they were two different brands, maybe you would have to consider some other things. But if we were looking at two very comparable objects and two types of oranges, maybe one was the price at Coles and one was the price at Woolies, it would show you that that option A there was the cheaper option between the two. Okay, the last one for this question is phone internet plan. Plan A is $22 for 3 gigabytes, and Plan B is $36 for 5 gigabytes. Okay, again, I'm just going to simplify both those plans because right now one of them is for 3 gigs and one is for 5, and I would like to make them comparable. So I'm going to make them both per 1 gig. Which means dividing the first one by 3 and dividing the second one by 5. Alright, if I divide the first one by 3, I am left with approximately $7.33 per gigabyte. And the second one, 36 divided by 5, is going to be $7.20 per gigabyte. So again, you want the cheaper of those two plans, and in this case, the cheaper one is going to be option B, $7.20 per gigabyte. All right, last question. At the supermarket, dishwasher soap tablets can be purchased in a box of 40 for $14, so $14 for 40 tablets, or they can be done at $79 for 320 tablets. Okay, so we need to calculate the cost per tablet in each of the boxes. Okay, so we're going to just simplify those rates. Divide both sides by the second number. Oops, we're going to divide this one by 320. Okay, so 14 divided by 40. The first one is going to cost 35 cents per tablet. And the second one is going to cost 320 divided by 79. Oops. Sorry, I put that into my calculator wrong. I did 14 divided by 40. Oh no, that's right. I've done the second one wrong. 79 divided by 320. Second one is going to cost about 25 cents per tablet. Alright, so the cost per tablet for each box is given there. The first one costs 35 cents per tablet, the second one costs 25 cents per tablet. Part B says determine how much cheaper it is per tablet for the Best Buy. So part B, we would say box of 320 is cheaper. It is, what are we looking at, 10 cents cheaper per tablet. Which usually companies will do that, where if you buy more, you get a better value. Okay, so that is our summary of 2D rates. What I would like you to do now is complete the chapter checklist of your rates questions. Okay, so that can be found in your textbook, the chapter checklist. It's an orange page and it's towards the back of chapter 2. If you have any questions, make sure you ask.